Matt Bernier for RacingPicks.com, taking a look at the late pick 4 at Belmont Park for Saturday, July the 4th. It is Independence Day here in the United States. All graded stakes at Belmont, highlighted by the Grade 1 Met Mile, the Grade 1 Manhattan. It's a great day of racing down in Elmont, New York. First video here, we'll take a look at races 8 and 9. The second video, we'll take a look at races 10 and 11. Let's start off with race 8. It is the Grade 3 Poker, 1 mile on the Widener turf course. You have a filly taking on the boys in this spot, and Got Stormy. She chose to scratch from last week's Just a Game, which I don't know that I blame her when we see how a horse like Newspaper of Record ran that day. Shows up in this spot, and she has successfully defeated males in the past. The pace situation looks to be on the more favorable side for her. I don't think there's going to be a crazy pace duel signed on. Having said that, I like a horse that's going to come from a little bit farther off of it. I hope not as far off of it as he did in his return to the races in the first Defense Stakes. That was back on June the 7th. But the number 4, Seismic Wave, goes out for Juddmonte Farms. Bill Mott is the trainer. Joel Rosario has the mount. This is a horse that he did some really nice things as a 3-year-old, but perhaps he never really lived up to expectations. He was the favorite in the Belmont Derby, didn't really put in much of a bid. He went off as one of the shorter prices in the local prep for that, the Pennine Ridge, couldn't quite get there. He's a horse that's always been in and around the money, but he can't quite get over the hump all the time. He did win the English Channel, which was a listed stakes race last October at Belmont, going this 1-turn, 1-mile configuration. I just think the return effort in the first defense was promising enough. He rallied from off of a fast pace, finished with some serious run, got his final eighth of a mile in 11:50. That was at 7 furlongs. Now he stretches out to the 1-turn or the turn and a half, whatever you'd like to call it, at Belmont Park, the 1-mile configuration over the Widener, and he just needs a little bit of pace in front of him. I also like that he doesn't have to come from dead last. He did in that most recent run. I'm hopeful Joel is a little bit more aggressive. Maybe keep him mid-pack or 3/4 back and then really get into him as they round the far turn. I think he'll be finishing. The question is the pace going to materialize in front of him? He's 8-1 on the morning line. I'm going to go with the number 4, Seismic Wave, in the 8th at Belmont on Saturday. That's the Grade 3 Poker. Let's go on to the Win and You're In for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. It is race number 9, the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. It's always one of my favorite races of the year. This year's race is spectacular. It doesn't have a giant field. There are only 8 that are going to go, but you can make a case for arguably at least half the field, if not more. And my best bet of the day comes in here. I respect a horse like McKinsey. He's done good things throughout his career. He's really probably a little bit underrated. I really respect a horse like Code of Honor, and then the horse that he ended up defeating in the most recent run off the bench in the Westchester Endorsed. They both ran such impressive races. Vekoma, who looked like $1 million winning the Grade 1 Carter when we last saw him at Belmont over a sloppy sealed track. I respect all these horses. I think Mr. Freeze is going to slip through the cracks a little bit, and to me, he's the definition of a horse that is a 1-turn horse. He's very capable, and he's solid going 2 turns. He's run well. He finished second in the Pegasus World Cup just a few starts back down in South Florida, going 2 turns, a mile and an eighth. He ran just fine in the Oaklawn Handicap most recently, given the tactics were a little bit puzzling. He's a horse that likes to be a little bit more forward. You go through his PPs and the races where he has gone 1 turn, whether it's 7/8 of a mile or a 1-turn mile, you're looking at outstanding performances. The Gulfstream Park Mile, he won with a 107 buyer. The Ack last September, he wins with the 100 buyer. He comes off the layoff at Ellis Park, maybe needed a race. He runs second, beaten by 3/4 of a length in his career debut. It's about 7/8 of a mile on the Beard course down at Keeneland. He wins going away. To me, he's the definition of a 1-turn horse. I'm hopeful that Endorsed and the horse on the far outside, that is Warrior's Charge, I hope they both go. And maybe Manny Franco can get Mr. Freeze to angle out into the clear. Perhaps he gets the jump on the big boys in this spot. And I think he's going to be pretty darn close to that 8-1 morning line. He's my play of the day on Saturday. The Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap, race number 9 at Belmont. I like the 7, Mr. Freeze, quite a bit. He's 8-1 on the line. There are the first 2 races, the first 2 legs of this all-graded stakes pick 4 sequence at Belmont on the 4th of July. Check out the other video here on RacingPicks.com, where I'll dive into races 10 and 11, the Manhattan and the Suburban.